Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, I successfully managed to get through another year's camping trip. Actually, it wasn't that bad. It was one of those times where it was raining when we set off, it was raining when we came back, but it was perfect all the time we were there. It was really nice. Nice campground on a little rocky tributary stream that runs into a famous trout river here, the Salters Creek or something. This is in upstate New York, and the place we were at was quite near to Woodstock, so we spent a day in Woodstock. It was good fun. Even the little village that we were next to, who's Phoenicia, they had a playhouse and they were doing sort of local dramatics. Well, I think they had a couple of other people in it, a musical of the Addams Family. So Friday night we went to that, which was unexpected and very nice. And in fact, Friday night was Linda's birthday, so that was good. The only thing that happened was, it was a state park. It was nearly all tents. We were about the only camper there. Only house is a tiny little camper. But when you sort of get there, there's a little sign in place, because you've got to book your campsite. So Linda Jane gets out, she does all the paperwork. So while she's talking to the lady there, I happen to notice this. Now then, because of that, I sort of earwigged what was being said, and the woman at the campsite was saying, oh yes, make sure you keep all your food in the car and don't leave your rubbish out. Put your rubbish, we have a building to put the rubbish in, put it in there every day, because that sort of general warning for bears, they did actually at that point in time have a bear wandering through the camp every night. So glad I wasn't in a tent. In fact, I haven't got it. You get a little thing with all these things not to do, and it said things like don't cook in your tent and that. It even said don't sleep in the clothes you're cooking in. That's how sort of sensitive the bears are to finding food. So anyway, we didn't see it. We did get a warning one day that there was a coyote wandering around. The woman came and she said, I'm going around telling everybody because this coyote's been seen wandering around, and some people might think it's a dog and try to pet it. Well, about an hour later we saw that coyote. Now we have coyotes here on our hill which we see, and I guess it must have been a townie that saw it, because it was an Alsatian cross. They don't say Alsatian here, German Shepherd. So it was a German Shepherd cross. And then funny enough, a couple of days as we were going back, we saw a fella further down the road walking it on a leash. So, but the bear was real. We didn't see it, but it was there. Anyway, so that was very nice. So I've come back all rested. As I said, it's raining again. I've actually got the AC on because it's sort of hot and humid. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do that repair on the rear hub, the sprocket mounting bosses. Then I've decided not to make a new wheel spindle for the front, because the wheel spindle is so, in fact one end it is long enough, the other end it's only 1/4 of an inch off. So we're going to make some sleeves that fit on, and you remember the actual wheel spindle has little reliefs in it for the bolts that hold the end caps on, and just as we did it quickly I just turned it in the lathe. Well, because the sleeve isn't going to be very thick, I don't want to turn it all the way around, so we'll measure exactly where they are and we'll do it in the mill. We'll just put a little relief in with an end mill. We'll come up and touch one side and come up and touch the other side, just to put that little scallop sort of thing in it. So we'll do that. I ordered the other bushes for the front forks, and I hope they're all going to be right, because these forks are out of a Triumph TR25W or a Starfire. So they're basically B44, except for the fact that they have bolt up caps on the ends. The B44 has a cap on one side, and the other side, I'm pointing, I hope you can see this, the other side it actually screws into the end of the fork leg, and that of course makes it harder to put the cub front wheel in, seeing as that's a captive spindle. We would have to start making up space and stuff. So anyway, that's what we'll do with that. Then I think we'll do a couple of pieces on the frame for mounting the bash plate. The other frames I've used were all drilled and tapped at the front. These aren't, so we'll put a little bracket on the front to mount it, and we'll put a little bracket on the back end. Again, I'm pointing away, I'm not sure, and I'm not going to jump up and check and redo this. So there's that. What else is there to do? Not much on the frame actually. My rock shocks are, well, they're going to be on their way tomorrow, because I got a call from the bank to say there was a dubious charge on my credit card in the UK. Because I don't have credit cards as such, it's like a ATM type thing. What do we call them at home? See, I've been away that long, I've forgotten. You know, the old hole in the wall thing. It's one of those, and it's a smallish local bank, so I think they get a little nervous, which is good, when they see it being charged in another country. So anyway, we know they're going to be here shortly. What else? Then we've got to start the engine. I've got to check somewhere else for the little needle roller bearing that goes in the gearbox, because when I ordered the bushes they didn't have it. Other than that, I've got all the bearings. Then we can start doing the engine, and then we're going to have to split the crank, which I didn't want to do because it's a nice big end, but we've got to work on the small end eye to make a bush for this other piston to fit. I was thinking of doing it in the flywheels and mounting the whole thing, but I thought that's just going to lead to possibility of error, and I don't want it to be, you know, not straight when we make the bush. So we'll take it apart. Actually, if memory serves me right, I know I'm waffling this week, but if memory serves me right, I built a mounting jig to put the flywheels as the crank on to tighten the big end nuts. We'll look for it in a moment. Alright, so that's what's happening. I still actually have to work out the front mount for that oil tank, just so that it doesn't pivot on the back one. Alright, let's start and do some work. Right, well, so the next thing we're going to do is put these pieces here. Now, as I say, I bought some steel stock 1/2 inch, which is what that size is, with a 1/4 inch bore. Saves me making lots of these things. So all I've got to do is cut 7 of these to the appropriate length. Right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them a few thou longer, and then just to make absolutely certain, we'll put this in the lathe, supported at both ends, make sure it's spinning nicely, and then we'll take them exactly to this good one. Right. Now then, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it to length, put it on, put a bolt in to hold it, and then bronze it. Now that should hold it right, but just to make absolutely certain, because don't forget some of these, you know, these are broken. They're down, that's virtually flat. That one's got a biggish chunk out, that one's virtually flat, you see, so on like that. So what I've done, I think with the Enfield, I had an old Cub sprocket, I don't know what I've done with it. Well, I've got a nasty feeling it's the one I cut in 2 to use for lining up the chain, and I can't find it anywhere. So what I've done is I've made a little placeholder sort of thing. So that, we'll start with this one. It's got 4 holes in, there's only 8 of these. So we'll put that on there. Bolt that down nice and tightly. Then we'll make the spacer up, put it in, bolt that down, bolt that down, and now when they're all bolted down, then I can still get in and bronze them. Actually, what I might do, I think, is cut this around so I can get in easier. Bronze them in. There's those 4 nicely. Then we'll take this off and we'll sort of move it round to do the next ones. Well, it'll be that one. So these 2 will have been done, and then this will hold the next 2 in place, and then move it round again and hold the last 2 in place, and then everything should work out dead level, dead straight, everything good. All right, so yeah, I think I'll cut that into a curve first, to give me more chance to get into them. So let me cut some of these. Well, I'll show you that on the lathe. Right, I'm not going to show you the actual lathe work, but I will show you the setup. So what I've got is my cut-off tool in here, and I know my cut-off tool is 0.118 wide. I've measured that and I put it away now, but also just to check on it, I put a piece of alloy in, I cut into it and then measured the size of the cut. It's 0.118. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along, just touch off when this is spinning, right? And then whatever length I want, I'm going to add 0.118, because the first 108, see, it would just take that off. So let's say I want it to be 800, I'll add 118, it's going to be 918. I move that along there, 918, and this back edge of the tool will be at the 0.9. And I'll do that by setting that to 0 when I touch the edge off. So I'll set that to 0. Come on, stop moving on me. Keep moving that bloody. There. So I'll set that to 0. And that's just touching there. Then, as I say, I would, if I wanted this to be, it's only an inch, so let's say we want 400, so that'll be 518. So I'd go, well, I'm going to show you this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I'm at the end of the travel, so I've got to set it up better. All right, but that would give me, and that would give me the amount I want plus the thickness of the tool being cut off, so it would the exactly right amount, if that all makes sense. So let me do the first 3, then we'll bolt them on and get to bronzing them. Alright, so there's the first 3 done. There's the one that fortunately wasn't broken. That's, if you like, our datum. So there's 1, 2, 3. So they're in, they're bolted in there. I can get in and bronze these in nicely. That one I'm going to have to be careful of. I'll bronze as much as I can and then take the bolt out, because I don't want the bronze to wick into there and bronze the bolt in. So let me see about getting these at least tacked into there, and then I can take this apart and finish bronzing them. Well, good morning people. A new day dawns. Now then, for those of you who've made comments in the past about how much you enjoy the videos because I leave the mistakes in, warts and all is a phrase that's often used, well, have I got a treat for you today. Another one of those, a thought popped into my mind completely out of the blue last night. When I did the other hub, I actually threaded these. I made them out of solid round, drilled them to the sort of nominal size and threaded them 1/4 inch fine. And I actually left the threads in the little bits of this. I'm pretty sure I haven't looked at the old video. And then I put the new bosses on and threaded down through and threaded right into there to hold it. And there was a reason I did that. Because I can't get a nut on here with the spokes. Just looked at the other hub, the spokes come right across here. There just isn't enough room. So while I was cursing and swearing last night because I realised this about the spokes, I thought, I know, there'll probably be enough room if I put an Allen bolt in from this side. And then of course I remembered. Hang on, let me make sure you're still in view there. Yep. There isn't enough room to put a nut on here because of the brake plate. See? There's only just enough room for that. At least I don't think there is, but hang on, they're put on with a bolt. Well, that's because they're bolts with slightly small heads. Let me get a bolt. I don't know what I was thinking of there about bolts. I just had to take the bolt out, turn it round, put the nut on. Well, there is enough space if I have the flats facing the brake drum. And I'm pretty sure that will give me enough for the spokes. I don't know. Luckily these bosses are only tacked on. I can get them off without too much trouble, and then, but I don't have any 1/2 inch solid round. I'd have to get like some solid round. Oh God, that is so annoying. Why didn't I think of that? Why didn't I just look at the video of me doing it for the other hub and see how I did it there? I mean, the way I milled them off and everything was the same, but alright, let me stew over this for a little while. Alright, so there's the other hub. Actually, I just measured this hub and it was, oh, 1.25 inches or something like that wider than the one I made, but this swinging arm is actually almost 1 inch wider, so we're alright. Anyway, things get even more annoying. Look, the way the spokes are, there's a stud. See how that spoke is right next to it? But look, there's a stud. So 4 of them, I could even put a nut on this side, and 4 of them are just close. See that one and that one are just so close that I don't even think I could get an Allen. Well, I could get a domed headed one on there, you know, a mushroom cap one. No, I don't think so, but that's annoying. See, this pair are fine, that pair are close to the spoke, then the opposite pair to this two are fine, and the opposite pair to those two are next to one spoke. I'm just trying to minimize the amount of rework I've got to do here. And of course the bike's going to be mine. Oh, more thought needed. Alright, I've come to a decision. Some of you aren't going to like it, but then I was watching Paul Henshaw the other day, and he actually did a little video to speak to his viewers to say, you know, look, I get all sorts of comments, but this is the way I'm going to do it. So, this is the original boss, right? And as you can see, it's one of the ones where the spokes are close. Oh, hang on. It depends on whether they go inwards or outwards, doesn't it? So that doesn't really matter. Oh, now I'm second guessing myself. What I was thinking was, I'm going to have to helicoil this one if I can't get a bolt through from this side. So if I've got to helicoil that one, then there's 3 others I would have to helicoil if I carried on the way I'm going. But the other 4, I could put an Allen bolt through from the drum brake side, because I've got enough space to put a nut on. So for the sake of doing those 4 helicoils, I could just keep going. Otherwise I've got to say, as I say, I've got to helicoil that no matter what. Bugger, this is really annoying me. Should I just order some 1/2 inch round, take these off, redo them? Because the thing is, this part here won't be threaded now because I've drilled it out, which is something to take into account. So these pieces I made are basically less than ½ an inch long, and you know, they're going to be bronzed on. Do you know what? I really think I'd like to have the bolt go all the way through, at least for 4 of them. See, this is what I'm thinking. If I have 4 of them with the bolt going all the way through, and 4 of them that I helicoil, because the sprocket's on the register, so it's not like the sprocket is sort of being held on by these. Whoops. Hang on. You know, the sprocket is being held on this lip here. They're just holding it into there. The actual pull of the chain is against this, not against the sort of bolts. Oh, bollocks! Hang on. Right, executive decision. I'm going to carry on the way I'm going, using the pieces with a 1/4 inch hole through. I'm going to get the wheel laced up and see what happens, and then if need be I'll helicoil 4 of them, and 4 of them I'll use through bolts. Then it'll all have Allen heads on this side, so it'll look fine. It'll be amply strong. You know, I mean, this has got 8 bolts. Admittedly, they're only 1/4 inch. Some have 6, some have 5. I've even seen some with 4. I mean, the TL125 wheel that I had in the BSA, that sprocket's held on with just a circlip. It's on rubber mounts. You can get hold of it and do that with it. Yeah, bugger it. That'll be fine. I'm going to carry on and do these this way, and then we'll decide when we've got a complete wheel exactly how we're going to do it as far as through bolts, helicoils, etc. go. Alright, let me press on. Right, so there's the first 3. Now I've bronzed them at the bottom, but as you can see, for some reason it's not flowing out well there. So what I'm going to do is do all the others. They're bronzed alright at the bottom. I'll do them, and then I'll knock the bearings out of this because we put new bearings in, and I'm going to heat this up because cast iron generally likes to be heated first. And I am not going to preheat it. I'm just going to heat it. Alright, but the important thing is, did they all stay where they're supposed to be? So there's the original one. Good. Now, as I said, the idea now is I'm going to make the next 2. Pop them in there, and then hopefully, yes, there we go. Do exactly. Oh, come on. It's a bit tight. We'll run the drill through that again. We'll bolt those 2 in there, bronze them at the bottom, and then we'll move around and do the last 2. And then, as I say, we'll bronze it up properly. And then we'll lace it up and see where they fall. Oh, well, that's... Why is that one so? We need most of the way. Anyway, when everything's all finished up and we've got the sprocket, seeing as these aren't threaded, we can make sure all the holes are fine and bolt the sprocket on. So let me make up the next 2. Alright, so I've got these bronzed up, I've got this set up in here now. There's the good one. So what I've done is when that's up against that, that is up against the stop there. So I'll start off back here, move in, and when I get to the stop it'll be level with that, and then if any of them are slightly lower I can go in another couple of thou. Alright, so let me do that. I'm a bit short of space here, so I'm going to move you out the way. Right, so there's that done. You can see that's shiny. I went down a couple of thou more than it was, but that's alright. I'm just making an adjustment in the amount the sprocket is off the line. So that's all done nicely. I'll put the wheel spindle back in here. I'm going to keep using the old bearings until we're completely finished and the hub's painted, because you never know, I might want to sandblast this again and whatever. So let me put the sprocket in and we'll go and put it in the bike, and then we'll look at the brake plate, this part, the torque arm thing. Alright, can't remember if I told you, but my RockShox came. Did I tell you? I don't know. Having a day off throws me completely. Right, so while I was at my friend Mike's yesterday at the trial shop, I got a pair of snail cams. I was asked about these once before, and I'm pretty sure I answered the query, but they're from Jitsi, and they seem to have a website and everything like that, but I don't know if they're in the UK or somewhere in Europe. Alright, so let's see. That is going to go in. That's going to go in like that. It's going to go in there like that. So these are 17mm. So they go on there like this. Oh, I know what that will be. That's from bead blasting. I've got a little bit of glass bead still in the threads probably. Hang on, let me turn you off. So there's the hub in with the snail cams on. We're going to have to mark this, drill, tap, put an Allen bolt in each side as the stop for that. And I was looking at this here and thinking, oh, isn't that annoying? Look, if it was the other way around, it'd be fine. So I was trying to decide which way to do this, to cut this off completely. This is, as you can see, is riveted on. When I suddenly realised, look, there's where the brake cam and the arm go in. So I'm not going to be able to have it there anyway. So let me go and put the cam and the arm on, and then we'll see where we've got clearance for that. Alright, wow, I'm glad I spotted that. Look at that, it's the same as that. So with this on, actually probably best to put it on. I hate these ones with squares because there's so little adjustment to them. See, with the nut, where's the nut? With the washer. See, that would have to be all the way out there for that to clear there, really. So that's going to have to be up there, like that. So all the way in, yeah. So you know, I'll put it to the inside because we're going to have a run for the rod through the inside of that. So it actually, because that's going to pull in and then catch on this. Let's have a little look, see here. That's actually going to have to be, I mean, I can always weld this up and file some new corners on it. because it has worn a fair bit. You see, that's got to come all the way back to there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let me go and look how I did it on the Enfield. Oh, you can't see any of this. Oh. All right. What I was saying was, I've got to have this going inward slightly to get the rod to go through the inside of there. Hold on a second, I'm going to go and look at the Enfield because that's got one of these hubs in it. Right, now on the Enfield, I had enough space for it to go in here. Oh, yeah, hang on, that's the way I did it on the Enfield. That was down there. I must have straightened this. Yeah, because it went through on the inside. I must have lengthened that. Hang on again. Right, I seem to remember making up a completely new one of these because it's 3.5 inches long there, and this one, look, is only 2. So that's how I did it with the Enfield. I had this down here, so the nut was out of the way, and then I made a long one that came through up here. So we can do that again, but that obviously puts this thing way out. So what we'll have to do, I think, is, well, I could put that to that one, cut it, and see, it's got to go about like that. Got to think about that, and it's going to take me a while to make one of these. So I think what we'll do, seeing as I'm running out of day, I've got stuff to do today, is we're going to mark this, drill it, tap it, and put our Allen bolts in there. Right, so what I've done here is I've set these to both sides, and I've actually measured, excuse my head, from there to there. It's 1 3/4 both sides. That's with it. What I did was I pushed it in and got it to the minimum here, so I've got the maximum amount of adjustment, and that's what it worked out to, 1 3/4. So I'm going to mark this for where the Allen bolt goes. Now, of course, the head is larger than the Allen bolt, so what I've done is I've measured the head, and I've got a transfer punch that's the same size as the head of the Allen bolt. So that point is right in the centre of what would be the head of the Allen bolt, so it's in the centre of the hole. So I'll put that in against the thing there, you see. And now I've got a mark, and I'll go around and do the same the other side. I'll punch it with the big punch to give it a better hole for the drill to catch in, and then we'll drill them. So let me mark the other side. So I'll put a deeper punch mark in. Here's our 7/32 drill, which according to the chart is the right size for 1/4-28. Make sure I'm going in reasonably straight. Low speed. Oh, cutting oil. I thought I'd just sharpened this. Looked like I had, maybe not. Okay. So there's that. And a 1/4 tap. There we go. Now I haven't got any very short Allen bolts, so I'll have to cut a couple down, but just for now that's tight. And this is definitely a 28/4. Let me get the fat. Tell you what, I'll go and shorten this Allen bolt or Allen screw. And I'll get the chamfer bit and do that. Right, I put a little chamfer on it, and I've cut myself a 1/4 inch long Allen bolt. There we are for our furthest in position. Alright, let me do the one on the other side. Oh, my stomach's rumbling. Then I'll go and have some scran, and we'll maybe look at this afternoon. Alright, front wheel spindle. We're going to do this side first and sort of make this our point. So I've set this up. Hang on. I've measured in here so the wheel's centered. Now I'm going to drop you back down again. And I've made some other measurements. I've measured from inside here to there, measured the thickness of this, and all of this. I've measured from the edge of that to there, and then from the edge of that to the end of the wheel spindle. The wheel spindle is only once on this side, is only a 1/16 of an inch short of being there. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a piece that is, well, let me show you the sort of drawing. So this is just the rough on an envelope drawing. The end of the wheel spindle is going to go into here. So this is from the sort of bearing surface on the hub to the inside of the fork, and we're going to make that a little bit wider just to give us something for this to butt up against, and it'll then act as a spacing piece to set the wheel exactly right to this side when we do the measurements on the other side. So the wheel spindle is going to go in there, and I'm going to have a blank end. That's basically going to be the maybe an 1/8, something like that, hopefully. just so we don't have a little end in here. So this diameter here, this 666, is the right size to clamp up tightly in the end of the forks. And then the 550, that's what the wheel spindle is. So that'll nicely take that up. What I'm thinking of doing is here, we'll actually use the slitting saw. We'll slit this horizontally. And then when we clamp the forks up, it'll actually clamp onto the spindle. It'll tighten up and clamp onto the spindle. Then of course, if we now turn it round, instead of looking at it vertically and say we're looking at it horizontally, we've also got to put, as I say, a little scallop in each side for those forks. So that's good. That's just reminded me to measure that. So let me take that last measurement, then we'll go and find a piece of 1 inch. I don't know whether to make these out of, it'd be much easier to make them out of alloy. I don't think they'll crush. When I've made some spacers up a long time ago, actually it was on the 0.5, I had to make similar sort of spacers, and I was going to make them out of alloy, and I got a comment from a chap who road raced, and he was telling me, I can't remember which bike he raced, but for lightness they'd made this sort of thing up out of alloy, and after a couple of races they found that they, even though they're clamped in, they'd compressed, they'd got misshapen. So I'll probably make them out of steel. Anyway, let me take this last measurement. Right then, so it'll take a little long time for the little red light to come on there, say I'm recording. So there's the first bit, right? Stage 1, so that goes in there. So the next thing we need to do is put our 2 little reliefs in here to fit inside of there. So I measured from the inside so I can mark these along here. So let's go and set up to do that. Oh, and these are 5/16. Right, well, so I put it in a square collet block so we can just flip it over. And measured, there's my mark. I've just touched this off here, so what I'm going to do is lower this down. I've set the DRO to 0. This is, very ominous number, is 0.666 thou, 666 thou. The 2 bolts, the 2 studs in the forks are 640 thou apart. So that is 26 thou we've got to take off. So what we're going to do is take 14 thou off each side, and that will give us 28 taken off. So that just gives us a little bit extra. This is a 3/8 end mill, and the actual studs are 5/16, so that should be fine. So let me say, I've already touched this off. You may see the little mark there. We'll go down to there, lock that off. Alright, so we set the 0, 0, and let's think we're going to and there we go. So I'll do the same on the other side, and then we'll stick it in there and try it out. Alright, let's see if that worked. If this is right, this should be up against that and it should slide into there. That's it. Look at that. That's just the right length for there. Perfect, so let me put it on the wheel and put the wheel in. Well, let's see if we can actually get it in. So that goes on there like that. This gets lifted up like this. goes on there. Whoa, will you look at that? Can you look at that? Yeah, let me open you out a bit. And that actually goes on there. Like thus. Hang on. Oh, that had me worried for a minute. I thought, uh-oh, don't tell me both wheels are going to be awkward. I still haven't phoned Buchanan's about these spokes. And I have no excuse because Buchanan's are on the west coast in California. So they're 3 hours behind me. Oh, where's that nut gone? Anyway, let me find the nut and bolt that in. Yeah, as I was saying, they're 3 hours behind me, so I can phone them till nearly 8 o'clock at night and they'll still be there. So hold on a second. So there it is in, fastened up. The little noise you can hear is I've put the AC on. It's 86 or something like that and a bit humid outside. And there's that and there's that. So that's still nicely centered. So now we can go over the other side and make some measurements there, except we have a slight delay there. Let me show you. Right then, on this side there should be a nut that goes on there to hold the brake plate on. And my supplier, as well as not having that needle bearing, didn't have that nut. So I'm wondering whether to just make one. It's only about 4 threads. I can make a nice piece up, put a couple of flats on it, and see, this one though is further in. Let's hold on while I go and get the measuring machine. Right, so let's see what we've got here. As I said, the other side was only a 16th. Right, so from there to there is 208. And from there to the end of the spindle is 517. So that's over 1/4 of an inch. It's 309. So the other end, because it was so close, I didn't make that blind end, but here I think I will make a blind end just to make this end of this a little more solid. Of course, then it does mean I can't split it. Oh, which I haven't done to the other side. Oh, I don't know if that's really... Yeah, we should be gripping up on that wheel spindle. So I'll put a slit in that before we're finished. Okay, so what do we do here? Now what I would do is I'd thread the spacing piece. So I could just screw it on up to there. But of course, we have to have the little reliefs for these. So that would mean that when that's tightened up, the reliefs would have to be in the right place. Hmm. 20, what did we take off? 14 thou. Let me just measure how thick this wall is here. The wall is 52 thou. I could put a groove in there, hang on. See, like I did with the temporary ones. Make it just a much thinner groove. That obviously went there like that. Okay. Let me take this wheel back out and see what that thread is. So this thread is 5/8 11 threads per inch, which means it could be either BSW or UNC. So I can't really tell from the thread gauge, or at least my eyesight's not that good to see how closely they fit, But while I'm out tomorrow, I can, because I have a 5/8 fine, I can get a 5/8 UNC nut and just see if it'll go on. Because if it's Whitworth, you know, it's a 55-degree angle. If it's UNC, it's a 60-degree angle. And of course, I've got a 5/8 fine die, but I don't have a 5/8 coarse die. So we'll leave that. It's about time to knock off today anyway. So I'll, if I can get a nut for that, then we can just slim the nut down a little bit like it should be, put that on, and then we can make our next piece for this. Alright, well, I've forgotten to charge the spare battery again, so we're running on fumes here. But it's Saturday afternoon, so I'm going to knock off anyway. So we're back to the front wheel. I got the 5/8 nut, and as soon as I looked at the thread, I thought, that's not 11 threads per inch, which you may remember from earlier in the video I said it was. So I did it again, senior moment, it's 20. So that's 5/8 20, which means it's going to be BSC. Because as you know, BSC is 26 threads per inch, right from quarter to I think 1 inch. But there are 3 or 4 sizes that they use a slightly coarser pitch, and they use 20 for all of them. So I'm pretty sure 5/8 is a 20. So that's good, because that means BSC is a 60-degree angle, not a 55 like Whitworth and British Standard Fine. So I think I'm going to make up a round one for there, but I'm not going to have enough battery to do that, and it's too late in the day to charge one up. So anyway, that's all we've got done for this week. I'll make that and show you it, and then the first thing we'll do next week is make the final spacer for that, and we'll do the couple of bits on the rear wheel. So let's say that's it for now. Gives me an excuse to go and ride, doesn't it? Bloody Harley Davidson. They make more noise than the trucks you hear going by. Alright, so until next week, you stay safe and enjoy yourselves.